Life giver and the keeper of life. Exactly 10 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock, talking about PM time. Eastern Caribbean time. Carried so far beyond where we belong, you don't know how it goes. Of course, once again, this is the Mystic Vibration. Of course, you're into the shock of the hour. Radio Anu. RadioAnu.com. International flavor. The
universal spice.
Give thanks continually. And of course, as we say, 7-11 now, even at this hour now, and we're into the shock of the hour. Of course, you know, when it comes to the shock of the hour, the shock of the hour is a grievous thing, as we refer to it as. And of course, now we're gonna, you know, we're not going to even waste any time. We're going straight into the program schedule for this evening, so that we don't have to see the time coming upon us and have to, you know, divert and continue tomorrow and all of that. But basically, as you know, we're now on the third episode of the Shock of the Hours series, the economic state of the Black nation. And of course, being the third part, you know, I always have to just give a quick note, won't spend too much time, but I do have to have some level of respect to what I refer to as the executives. You know, sometimes I don't like to use the ex-executive, but executives, you know. Those who are in the front of the class. I've been using that term, that whole terminology and that whole analogy there for years, meaning that there's a specific group of people that listen. They make sure that they're in tune to the mystic vibration every night. Then you have another set of individuals that make sure, well, not just mystic vibration, they're never off of Radio Anu at all. You know. And then they have another group that make sure that they get their copies of the program so they can study it even several times before the upcoming program. These are what you call executives. These are individuals that are in the front of the class. So basically, because I have to, you know, concentrate on them, sometimes those who may come to class late, you know, and just came in halfway through the first period and all of them kind of things, they may have to try to catch up, and sometimes you may make mention of something and they say, what you're talking about? And we spent the whole of the second episode on what we were just mentioning, you know. So basically, it's always good still to recap. And this is just a method I'm, you know, putting. Always recap. Don't matter even if everybody's in the front of the class. You understand? That's interesting. But anyway, it's always good to recap. Repetition is the mother of teaching, you know. So we will still apply that here, but obviously with understanding that we are still paying keen attention to those who have rehearsed what, you know, in listening as such, and continually gone over them, what we have been saying in the first two episodes. So I will just deal with previous night, because that very first episode as well is on the YouTube. The very first part of this is on the YouTube, and we may put this on the YouTube too. More than likely, sometime in the future, these will still reach on the YouTube, you know, for the public to hear. And but previous night, we brought the whole concept of the international bankers into the conversation. Keep in mind that what we're doing, we will be touching the whole economic situation of us as a people on many different fronts. The whole aspect of our culture, which I mentioned again, basically almost covers everything, because the culture basically is what you could observe in other people and can see for yourself why their economy basically is stronger. And remember, economy is not just dollars. You know, it is basically how you utilize your dollars, you know, in the gaining of assets and these different things. And of course, then you could speak about economy. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm telling you straight. I've never been to no school of economics and none of them different things, but with all these economists that we have now and the whole world is in shambles and still in shambles, you know, these economists are just like the doctors. We don't understand, you know. It's good that you could graduate with your degrees and all of them good stuff, you know, but what's a doctor? Just the English that they have taught us. A doctor, when you doctor something, that means you fabricate it, you fix it up. Not fix it, you know, but like fix it up, like throw a monkey wrench into it, like this has been doctored up, falsified. So if you know about Piltdown Man, for those of you who study paleontology and anthropology and basically archaeology, said, wait, you know, Piltdown Man was the skull that I think it was the jawbone that they replaced with another type of jawbone to make it appear as if what you would have as the modern day Caucasian man was more, you know, older than we had believed. But we found that it was a fabrication. They literally took two parts of two different skulls as such and put them together. This jawbone, what do you call it, the mandala? Yeah. Down the right. Mandible, yes, I talking about the mandible. Yes, and you know, so it was a fabrication. They doctored it. That's what it means to doctor something. So I mean, and that is why a doctor is always practicing. Where do you practice? Oh, my office is practicing, you know. So when they're having surgery and you're cutting you open to take out your heart and put in the next heart, these fellas practicing, you know.
Like the brain.
That's why they call them, yes. That's why they call them practitioners. It's like they practicing. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not like the real thing going on, you know. So you got to be careful. This is why we did the whole, not the symbolic writings, but even when we went into the cartoons, the secret science behind cartoons, that very first episode, if one would refer to that very first episode, we took time to go into the depths of words and why words are so key. So when you go into someone to deal with your health, just the word health and all of them things too. Health. I mean, well is wealth. So hell is health. All right, there you go. You know, heal yourself, heal thyself. But anyway, when you're going to an individual, a practitioner, you know, to put your health and wellness in their hands, and they're known for doctoring things up and they're practicing, you got to take it seriously. All right. So again, within the science of words lie. So when we understand that again, just dealing with our current situation, as I said, we highlighted the international bankers. That was one of the things we highlighted, the international bankers. That's the previous program. And again, as I said, understanding the culture of it, because that itself is culture. When you have the Rothschild, of course, you've got to speak of the Rothschild up to this very day. It's the Rothschild. I think it's an individual they refer to as Evelyn Rothschild, if he's still alive. Some people literally says that he specifically is the world's most wealthiest individual. Some people argue otherwise, but the fact that he's in the discussion obviously means that he's up there, you know, and this is what I'm speaking of. So from that family from Germany and springing off into these different countries in Europe, and these central banks created, printing the currency, very important, of these nations. But yet still you have to align this, you know, with the Berlin Conference. Again, same place, everything is happening in the same place. And the division of Africa, we cannot run from this. And then, of course, the continuous invasion, because they were doing it before that. Remember, it is since 1492 and even, yes, and then within the 1700s, the cargo, the kidnapping began. So them carving up in the 1800s now is basically in some way a continuous, a continuation, pardon me, of what has already begun, primarily on the west coast of Africa. So this is not just a savage act of war, you know. This is well thought out, well planned, well coordinated, a business, an enterprise established. Again, I will repeat, when we use terms like Europe and America was built on the back of the black people of the world, it is true. But let us comprehend it in its proper sense. What do you really mean by that? Again, clearly the Rothschild. They put their tentacles over Europe and they begin to finance the international slave trade and the enslavement and the colonialization specifically of Africa and the world. This is why we are extremely positive that what began in that time has not really come to an end as yet. Because it is all these former, so-called former colonies, that the vast majority of them, you see their leaders still swearing an oath to the Queen of England, her heirs and her successors, even the little baby that was just born. And we still carry on in their tradition, our constitutions, our form of governance, our whole morals, I mean, come on, where on earth can you go? Where on earth can you go? And they're not celebrating Santa Claus. Where? Where is that absent from the culture? If you can pick some tribe somewhere in the Amazon, that's good. But you know, I mean, on the vast international scene, man. Where can you go? And the Easter Bunny is not hopping around the time of spring, even in places where it's not spring. Where is the dead of winter that's still talking about Easter Bunny? And some of us may be saying, wow, that's weird. Where's my foot? We here in the Caribbean, we ain't seeing no snow, and we talking about Santa Claus. So what's so weird about talking about the Easter Bunny during the dead of winter? We've been so brain scrubbed. So the same killers that were carving the map of Africa, the Berlin Conference, you literally see the artwork with these killers having Africa like a cake on the table with some knife and some fork and all of these things and plates around the table. That is why it is still so divided and squared up today. Look at our boundaries and borders were lakes, not lakes, pardon me, were rivers and streams, and specific, valleys and mountain ranges. Not no square up like if you took a ruler and, like draw a line and put a 90-degree line and then, like, let's give this spot here a little triangle and we'll call this Namibia and put another square up here and say this is Central Africa and put a little rectangular stuff down here. Nah, what kind of thing is that? Look at Togo and Ghana and Ivory Coast, like three dominoes standing up together. What is that? As Pre-Zebulon told us, the people from the Togo and the people from Ghana, your front of your house in Ghana and the back door in Togo. Yeah, reality, because somebody just draw some imaginary line through that Berlin Conference business. A person may ask, what does this have to do with the economic state of the black nation? well, this is a series. This is a series. You know. It could be 5, 7, or 70 programs. But if we're going to address the subject, I think we should address the subject. The state of our mind economically is how much dollars we can make. And how much we can make a week, how much dollars we can make. We're just on the dollars. So this is why education is key. If we're looking to build an economic kingdom and an economic empire. So you have to comprehend this. Any black individual talking about unity and economic growth, and you don't even comprehend what I'm talking about here, you don't get the picture yet. So the so-called wealth that the Germans had, all you see, they're pretending they're fighting the Germans in World War I and II. Foolishness. These killers were funding both sides of the war. As I mentioned in the previous program, you go to the international bankers and get the money and say, I'd like to borrow $10 million. Oh, here you go. And then you go to the person that's selling all the bombs and the tanks and the warships, and he and the banker is partners, they're working together, and you give him the same money that the bankers just lend you, and they give you the war machine to fight somebody that fighting you, that invade your country, and the person that invade your country is still financed by the same bank and the same man that making the tank and the plane and all these materials, ammunition and devices of war. So they're winning on both sides. And when things get bad, they just plan a next war because they have that type of power. Wrap your mind around this. So again, it's no joke. When Woodrow Wilson became president of the U.S. in 1912, not just U.S. business we're talking, you know. This is international. It's Germany we start for this, and now we gone U.S. It's from 1912 to 1930 under very, you know, what you say, fishy circumstances. And that is what the U.S. public was thinking at the time. You have the Federal Reserve, the IRS, and of course, the FBI coming in the scene. I'm telling you, 1913 and 1914, you have World War I. So, I mean, I'm just showing you that it's all about real dollars. Now, in the midst of all of this, remember, as I said, the establishment of a bank is really, the purpose of the bank is selling debt and giving loans. That's what a bank is. It's not what many of us think. Now, as I showed you in the ancient days, we had banks. We had the exchange, the medium of exchange. But our money was backed by gold and silver. Our money was gold and silver. And you see, just the whole concept of the gangster banker, you know, still even went beyond from before the Germans, really, you know. They just kind of perfected it in this time in a criminal way. And when I say the Germans, I specifically speaking of the Red Shield. And but that whole concept of taking people's gold and their riches and then writing them a receipt, something similar to an IOU, that's an ancient practice. As I said, we had checks in West Africa, as Brother Robin Walker has already showed us. We had checks. We had individuals issuing checks. 1,000 years ago. So that whole concept of, because the gold is the wealth, you know, that's the real so-called money, the gold and the diamond and the whatever you have, especially the minerals of the earth, the wealth of the earth, even down to food. But then of course you have perishable goods. Nobody gonna put no hand of banana and none of these things in no bank for you. What are you talking about? That's a totally different thing. But you have wealth in gold. You have wealth in diamond, even in land. So I bring my gold and my diamond to you and you just write a little receipt. I say, yeah, I owe you how much, whatever of gold, how much ounces of gold, whatever pounds, however you weigh the gold and diamonds. And I'm gone and I have the official receipt with your signature, my signature, your stamp, official seal, whatever it is that we need to verify that you owe me this amount of gold, you have that amount of diamonds for me. So we always did that, you know. Again, like everything that we do, when the invaders got hip to our whole science and technology, they would copy it, and maybe I should use this term, modify it, you know. So now it became a case where, similar to the printing of money, where you would issue more IOUs than what you really have in reserve. And the whole criminal mind entered into the game. So even from that time, when you read about the merchants, and so that's why in the Bible, this whole concept of usury is considered like a great sin. People get stoned for usury, meaning that you lend someone $10. They're supposed to bring back $10 for you, not $10.50. Yeah, that's tough in the Bible, you know. But this is what started to take place in reality. And of course, the international, or even at the time, the local and regional bankster, yeah, because they were there, especially amongst the movement of the merchants. And the merchants are really more the Arab people and so. Yeah, I'm just giving you some history there. So then now, the misuse of people's property and wealth and gold began. And as I said, they would issue more IOUs than really existed. So now, if the people in mass went back to these bankers of the olden days and said, hey, I want my gold back. I would like my diamond today. Come on, hold your IOU. The gangster banker would not be in a position to give them back their gold. So obviously that system which they stole from us has become corrupted. So this is what you see now even in more modern time. When the Rothschilds and his family extend their tentacles throughout the whole of Europe and plant themselves in the breadbasket of the universe. In Africa, carve it up, and they began to go. The United Nations and what the other stuff is called, the League of Nations, these were a united group of people. So even when Mussolini invaded Ethiopia and they acted as if, oh, he shouldn't have done that, it was all a plot. That's the Berlin Conference moving on. These individuals, you know, as wicked as you say they are, as evil as you say they are, they don't plan for their life until they're dead, you know. They plan for hundreds of years in the future. As if they believe they're coming back when they're dead. They plan for their children, grandchildren, people that they'll never see. They have this standing concept that they're building an empire and it's not about them. That is one of the things that we are lacking. So we become so selfish, and we think that not being selfish is giving somebody a ride or helping some. Nah, man, not being selfish is putting your life on the line for the liberation of your people. That's what you call not being selfish, selling fish, whatever it is. Yeah. So that is what they do. It is very important. Marcus Messiah Garvey teaches this, you know. You have to observe how other people live. And observe the things that they do and emulate them if it is good. You see. So they plan, when they mapping out at the Berlin conference, they were not just saying how much money you can make, Leopold, and how much money you can make this and that. And I'm going to fill my pocket here, this and no. They may have been saying all of that because there's some greedy killers, wicked, you know what I mean. But at the same time, they're working off of a standing principle that they have in their culture of a future, to build an empire, to leave their name. See how they move? To move and discover new place and kill off the people that are there and plant the flag. Yeah, and say it's their place, and knowing that the generations to come will remember them and build metropolis and all of these things. That's how they think. From Cape to Cairo, and the sun shall never set, and the British Empire. That's their vibration. Yeah. So in all of this now, this is yesterday's news, which is still happening now. Because you know who run the world. Come on. So in all of this now, remember in the Disney, the cartoon series, we showed you how Walt Disney was was an agent for the FBI. So you see people that are, and not just him, you see people, we all understand all the secrets in the movie, and this movie have this secret, and the Matrix and the Black Panther and all the secrets, and you don't even see the real secrets. So we have a whole, we all were taught to, be glued to the television, even though our parents sometimes would say, you're watching too much television.
What about hoodwink too? Doesn't that have science?
It has a lot. Say you're watching too much television, but at the same time, the television raised many of us. The television gave us our character. The television taught us who we are. I mean, who we are now, that's what I mean, not who we really are. Because the television taught us to hate ourselves, whether you like it or not, brother. The television, the music industry, all of this was designed by the Shield to teach us to hate ourselves, because they comprehend that a people that still comprehend the culture, they will continue to bind together and grow economically. They know that. They know that. So they must attack that. This is war. Huh? Don't waste your ammunition by scatter fire. Attack the significant places of significance. Certain, what you want to call it? Posts. Man, if you can hit the headquarters, that's the perfect place. Important barracks or whatever. This place that housed the intelligence system, radar, bomb the fleet of jets. See if you can sink the aircraft carrier and the submarine. Try to hit key things. Yeah. That's where all their communication system is located. Oh, for sure, you need to lick that out. Yeah. So they make sure Big Bird, Ernie and Bert, SpongeBob, Fangface, Sports Billy, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Ed, Good Times, Bad Times, Jefferson, they get everything that they could get. The Midnight News, Hulk Hogan and Randy, Macho Man Savage. They find all that they could to distract you, to confuse you, to play with your mind and give you some foolish course to go down. So you could be totally separated from yourself. Always trying to beg for some job, no matter if you had 10 or 16 degrees, you're still looking for a job and you're overqualified. Have us stressed out in a system, waking up to the morning news and morning blues to hear who hanged themselves under the bridge, and that's how you start. That's your breakfast there. So now you're trapped in the traffic and I got to get to work. But every morning you go through the exact same thing. So where's your natural joy as a human being? The same killer dresses you in these clothes that literally keep you miserable, but you got to go with the flow. You got to put on the tight jeans, you got to wear the high heels. What kind of, I mean, I don't know. Remember, I'm coming from an age, where I saw the not just the elder mama now, everyone, when I was a little lad, nobody was moving like this. It is, if you are a woman, and you cannot see, please pardon me, man, but I got to keep it real, and you cannot see the lining of your underwear, you're out of the flow. You're not in. It has become so regular to see the lining, literal print of the woman's underwear. Even if it is a dress, it is just like that's natural for you to see that. That is crazy. Whether it's a uniform, for an office uniform, a bank receptionist uniform, whatever, or anyone wearing jeans, whatever, you're supposed to literally see the lining of the underwear. What kind of thing is that? It is your enemy. The same Shield people, the Shield and the people that carved up the land at the Berlin Conference, that's them working there. It's a long-standing concept and principles that these killers keep up, that will last for hundreds of years. Ask Willie Lynch, that will last for hundreds of years. This ain't no get-rich-quick scheme that they're on empire building and destroying another empire in the process. Because if you rise, that's the end of them. Their full destruction. So you must be kept economically weak. We can give you a little thing, I can give you a, minimum wage. Yeah, we can hook you up with some minimum wage. And, then we could work something out. This is extremely serious, my brothers and sisters. And this is the reality of what we are living in. Now, with all of that, I want to present to you just, I'm going to see how short I can make it. It's a piece of the documentary, The Crisis in the Congo. And the crisis in the Congo now is, it's about 30 minutes long, but my intention definitely is not to go through the whole of the crisis in the Congo. In fact, I'm not going to even begin it from the beginning as such, because we'll be basically going into certain aspects of it where I would have to skip over certain parts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to begin with the crisis in the Congo here. We're just going to listen to some of it, and then I'm going to work it into the conversation that we're having now, and you will see where I'm coming from. So let us just give this a listen, please.
Congo is like a nightmare in heaven.
Oh.
It's a heaven because, Congo is the heart of Africa. so much natural resources, the people, the animals, the flowers, everything. You know, Congo is heaven, but the thing is that people are living like in hell. People are dying. At first, we used to hear 1 million people die, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the situation is getting worse and worse. You know, because the money is there, the resources are there in Congo, and everybody wants a piece of Congo. Everybody wants a piece of Congo.
Why are people living hand to mouth in one of the most mineral-rich countries in the world? The Congo produces more than $1 billion of gold alone each year.
And the cobalt and the tin.
Congo produces more than $1 billion of gold each year. And the cobalt and the tin and the cassiterite and so many other things. But let us just continue.
And the copper and the tungsten, all of that we're benefiting from, but yet we're silent.
When people invade your country, they rape your women, they rape the kids, they morally control your mind.
There's a pattern to genocide. You can see it coming. I mean, it's like a hurricane.
Are we going to have to wait for 20 more years before somebody does something to stop this Holocaust?
There's a global consensus that exists that says it's okay for nearly 6 million black people to die in the heart of Africa and for us to be silent.
So I kept asking our intelligence people, is there any truth to this? I mean, what's happening out there?
I don't think policymakers could claim that they didn't know.
There's something wrong. There's something wrong with us in terms of the way we think about Africa.
The story of Congo is often overlooked for its complexity. It's a story where boundaries are porous and national identities mean little. Militant groups with ever-changing acronyms are not who they claim to be, and neighbors loot and murder while they are praised by the international community. But the death toll is now surpassing that of the Holocaust, in part because of the way the United States is involved in Central Africa. Now facing a critical juncture in their history, the Congolese people need us to change the way we're involved so that they can have the space to start rebuilding their country.
The first principle to understand about the Congo: the affairs of the Congo have not been determined by the people of the Congo. The national boundaries were formed at the Berlin Conference in 1885 when Congo was given to King Leopold II of Belgium as his own personal property.
He owned it for 23 years, and during that time made a huge fortune off the territory, estimated at well over $1 billion in today's American dollars, primarily from turning people into forced laborers to gather ivory and then even more so wild rubber.
As the Belgians were pursuing ivory and rubber, though, they discovered lots of gold deposits, diamonds, copper, cobalt, and many other minerals.
So, since 1885, Congo has been caught in the midst of a geostrategic battle, primarily for her natural resources.
Part of its ongoing conflict has been the desire by different armed groups and neighboring countries to benefit, to get rich, to make money from those particular minerals.
These resources that are found in the Congo are vital to major industries in the West, whether we're talking about the automotive industry, aerospace industry, technology industry, the electronics industry, even the jewelry industry.
These minerals exist in great profusion.
Are we listening to this? I don't know if you, I mean, I know I have an audience here. Are we hearing this? Listen again, please.
Ivory and rubber, though they discovered lots of gold deposits, diamonds, copper, cobalt, and many other minerals.
So, since 1885, Congo has been caught in the midst of a geostrategic battle.
Listen good.
Primarily for her natural resources.
Part of its ongoing conflict has been the desire by different armed groups and neighboring countries to benefit, to get rich, to make money from those particular minerals.
These resources that are found in the Congo are vital to major industries in the West, whether we're talking about the automotive industry, aerospace industry, technology industry, the electronics industry, even the jewelry industry.
These minerals exist in great profusion throughout the Democratic Republic of Congo, especially in its eastern part. And this is the largest territory on earth which really doesn't have a functioning government.
People can say anything, but the Congo is still a police state. There is no freedom of the press. You hear people being killed. The army is not an army. You know, this is a bunch of people who are indisciplined.
Since 1996, hundreds of thousands of Congolese women and girls have been raped, and the violence is escalating. Their attackers are foreign or Congolese, the lines between them blurred by years of greed, chaos, and impunity. As the women are broken, so is the community, a war strategy that leaves tens of thousands of people dead every month.
They reduce you to a non-human, in essence. People are being reduced to a non-human so that they cannot think. They can feel powerless. They can feel hopeless, so they can give up.
Imagine, I mean, you may not even be able to put your wrap your mind around it, but imagine nearly 6 million people dying in the middle of Europe, and yet we're silent.
Millions of Congolese people have lost their life as a result of the crises that we've been discussing, and it has warranted almost no sustained and enterprising reporting from the media of the world. It has obtained no great purchase on the popular imagination. Millions of people dead.
Why is it that nobody's talking about it? This is the same international community that said, you know, when there was a Holocaust, that no more genocide would take place, and yet the same community left Rwanda genocide take place, and yet those who committed genocide in Rwanda crossed over in the Congo, and the Congo has become the victim of what happened in Rwanda, and what the international community didn't do to stop it.
In 1994, the international community failed to stop the Rwandan genocide and effectively punish its perpetrators. Since then, violence in Central Africa has escalated, along with a growing culture of impunity.
If you don't hold to account those who carry out these horrible atrocities,
we're being controlled by these very same genocidaires, these people who committed the genocide.
Paul Kagame, who led the Tutsi rebellion and was now in charge of Rwanda, saw these militant refugees as a threat to Rwandan national security.
He came to Washington, D.C., and essentially said, if the international community is not going to do it, we're going to take things into our own hands. The U.S. had no official response to that, which he interpreted as a green light.
In the absence of justice, a terrifying cycle of revenge was about to take hold in Congo, as Paul Kagame's army prepared to massacre what many experts estimate to be hundreds of thousands of refugees.
And reports started coming in about atrocities that had been committed, in which they had slaughtered thousands of Hutu civilians. Now, believe me, I have no sympathy whatsoever for these genocidaires, these Interahamwe guys who had, committed the genocide in Rwanda. But the civilians, obviously, the children, the women, are you kidding? Why would they be victimized by this?
These Hutu were not combatants. They were not people under arms. They were elderly, they were women, they were children, they were sick people who were killed in a systematic and highly motivated way. And the UN knew about it almost in real time.
The UN knew, the US government knew, I believe other governments knew as well. They did not make an effort to openly investigate those who were not good enough. They allowed investigations to be blocked and they didn't push it. Now the question can be asked, why was that the case? And of course, part of the difficulty here was that many policymakers felt guilty. They hadn't done enough to stop the Rwandan genocide, and that genocide guilt allowed them to cover this up.
That guilt manifested in the Clinton era in a extremely pro-Rwanda.
So the question is, what role did the U.S. play in this? And it was a pretty direct supporting role. I happened to go to Rwanda just before this invasion took place. And, you know, major shipments of weapons were coming in at night to support the Rwandan army. We had placed people in the country who were training Rwandan army troops. And in short, we were supporting the invasion.
The United States, what they decided to do in the final analysis was to support an invasion of the Congo.
In this case, you had Rwanda and Uganda invading their neighbor, plundering it of its natural resource wealth, and suffering no sanctions at the United Nations Security Council. And you have to ask why. And it's because they had the very strong support and backing of the United States, United Kingdom, and other governments.
The reason the United States supported Rwanda and Uganda in their invasion of Congo cannot simply be attributed to genocide guilt. The U.S. had economic and political motivations as well. One reason for our involvement extended back to our support of Mobutu Sese Seko, a dictator we helped install in Congo and supported for 32 years.
This man bled his country dry. He extracted even more money from it than King Leopold did in his time, but Mobutu had a longer reign and a much more developed economy to plunder. And the United States was deeply complicit in that because we supported Mobutu lock, stock, and barrel.
But after the Cold War ended, essentially in 1989, 1990, many of his backers, including the United States government and the French government, essentially abandoned him. He became a liability to them because he had such a bad human rights record.
When Mobutu became an embarrassment, we helped Rwanda and Uganda overthrow him and install another dictator, and another. Now the Congolese people are victims of a corrupt dictatorial network which receives financial support from the United States.
No.
They have looted the place outrageously, taking hundreds of millions of dollars in minerals.
Listen to this, listen.
Sponsoring some of the worst warlords, and with never a protest from Washington.
The role the U.S. plays in Central Africa is complex. Historically, we've maintained influence in the area for access to minerals on which our economy and military
access to minerals on which our economy and military relies. Now listen to me. We're going to look to seal this up now, Oh, what time we have here? Yeah. But listen, please. All right. You've listened to a lot. One lady was saying it was some guilt that President Clinton and Kofi Annan and some of these other individuals had about Rwanda, so they were covering up the situation in Congo. And the narrator did come around and say it was more than guilt. They had an economic and a political state. Well, I see where the narrator is coming from, but I disagree with that too. They did have an economic and a political state, but I wouldn't say it was more than guilt. Guilt had nothing whatsoever to do with this. Who was guilty? Bill Clinton felt guilt? You crazy. Not even Kofi Annan. Guilt? You believe these individuals feel some sort of guilt in their heart? Listen, as the narrator just said, that the economy and the military depends on the wealth of the Congo. Goodness, man. They say that the top 16 militaries in the world put together cannot equal the might of the US military. I just heard it the other day somewhere on some official program, you know. Yeah. Be it so or not, brother. You mean to tell me you depend on the wealth of the Congo to make sure your military is running? That ain't no game. That ain't nothing to play with. That is nothing to play with. That obviously seems as if that, hey, I mean, without the Congo, we wouldn't be the big bad America that we are. So by any means necessary, you're going to make sure you get your mineral wealth from the Congo. The Congo ain't no jokey place. And what we're speaking of here, as it relates to the Congo, is something that you could superimpose as such across Africa, and even to us as people in general. The situation may not be at that stage, but we're all being exploited, all of us being exploited, even not just for mineral wealth as such, but just our natural resource, which is us. When you go to these jobs that you work at, all the jobs they're giving you, left and right jobs they get in. You're exchanging your time for some paper. You're exchanging your time for some paper. And to be honest, no disrespect, is only because we do not value time why we would do these sort of things. But if you value time, man, you would say, hey man, I'm here from 7 to 4 or 8 to 5 or whatever. And still I gotta wake up at 6 just to get here for 8. And when I leave here at 5, I'm not reaching home until 7. What's going on? That's what's going on? Come on. When you value yourself, you value how you have to eat every hour on the hour, not every hour on the hour, but specifically whatever the hour is, if it's 12 or 1, so every 12, you eat and you sit in and you make your food digest. You can hardly do that in any job, even if you get a quote-unquote hour break for lunch. Give me an easy time. So anyone that is seriously concerned about their self would not exchange their valuable time for no little measly dollars. Well, we gotta pay the bills. Well, listen, man. Listen. If you exchange your whole days, all your days, you exchange your days and hours for $500 or 500 pounds a week, even if it's 1,000, whatever, a week. Whatever you're getting a week, you're supposed to can make that same amount of money without giving away all of that time. People, they love growing old in front of your face, but you're still not spending time with them. You may see them every day, but how much of the day do you see them? All of that is a part of the manipulation that has crept up upon us. A people robbed and spoiled and totally lacking their culture. So we're all exploited. That's the point. But the exploitation here now in not only the Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. All of this war and killing. You can say what you want, because I say what I want too about my black brothers. Huh? Because it's not really Caucasians killing all the black people. You know? It's black people killing. I've met individuals that have lived in the heart of this, you know. So I'm telling you, it's us killing each other. It's black people raping the black sisters. Yeah. But of course, I'm not no house slave, so I'm not going to turn the conversation there. Oh, well, you're just watching one side. Well, you go and watch the other side. You go and make a video or do a radio show and talk about the other side. I'm talking about this side. And my side is, that's not our nature. How we were acting there, that's not our nature. That's the truth. You can say, oh, that's an excuse. No, that's the truth. That's not our nature. We didn't have words in our vocab for rape and murdering our brother. That couldn't come out our mouth. We didn't even know how to put that in any sort of form or fashion to express that. You know, we were not the ones who had to teach thou shalt not kill. We were the one that says, hey, that's what they're doing. We never did that. We never did this. We never did that. Some people like to argue, oh, you're talking about the laws of Ma'at, and the laws of Ma'at was first cited in the 18th dynasty. It can be proven. So what are you talking about? Oh. Hey. Oh boy. I have not killed, I have not murdered, I have not stolen, or I have not stolen. What are you talking about? Let's just assume that the Ma'at, which Ma'at is not just them laws, you know. Ma'at is a high principle outside of just 42 negative confessions, and there were more too. But anyway, let's just assume the 18th dynasty is when the Ma'at was first cited. All right, that should tell you something. It's still older than thou shalt not, you know, and there's nothing wrong with the thou shalt not, you know, or you should not, because the reason why we have to be told you should not is because somebody taught us to do what we should not, so we steal it. You should not steal. Somebody taught us to steal. How you know that? But we were the same people that said we have never stolen. We have never killed. We have never taken what's not ours. We never did that. And if you're going to say, well, that wasn't seen in the ancient of days, it's because we may have even had to invent the word stolen to express we never did it. Because is the wicked we see come in our land before the 18th dynasty? Is the murderer we see coming in our land and say, wait, is so these people live? They're stealing. Or they're taking up what's not theirs. What do you call that? They call it stealing. That's what they call it? Wow. I didn't know people do that. We have never stolen. What they doing there? They're murdering their brothers. Huh? They're doing what? Murdering. What's that? They're destroying his life. His life is being destroyed. What you call it? Murder. We have never murdered. Wait, isn't that his brother's wife he's flexing with? Yes. That's adultery. Yes, they're adults. No. That's adultery. That's what adults do? We have never committed adultery. So that's when we started to say these kind of things. Just to say it. So if it doesn't seem too old, don't worry. Because we never even had the words in a vocab. So I'm saying all of that to come right back around to, yes, I would say, I personally screw on my brothers that are killing each other at home. But I know it didn't start there. And it's not about them killing one another. The whole mission is deeper than that. It is the wealth of the land. It is the wealth of the land. The exploitation of the land. The minerals of the land. The bauxite of the land. The rubber of the land. Anywhere you see the minerals and they need it from the land, you see fighting, killing, kidnapping, raping, war. And people are being paid. Listen, man. Right here in the Caribbean, man. Right here in the Caribbean. You could give a child a C note, man. A youth. Some of them youths on the street, you could give them a C note or a dog, $100, and tell them take care of him for me. And when I say take care of him, I don't mean make sure he's all right and carry him to dinner. I mean take care of him. And they would do that. They would do that for $100. You get what I'm saying? Do I have to be clear? They would kill somebody for you for $100. Oh man. Yeah, boy, real sick, eh? A sick thing, bro. So I'm saying, for pence and halfpenny, as we would say in Antigua, for pennies and nickels, dimes, and so, especially if you get a good change. The ignorant in mind and the stripped of culture, man, would become savage killers, especially if you're training them from their children. Because a lot of these soldiers are teenagers and young men, and they were kidnapped as children. They don't know nothing else but what they're doing, and they think it's all politics. It's all what you would call it when you play with the mind. It's propaganda. You know, it's indoctrination. All of that is a part of the process of war, especially that internal civil war taking place in the heart of Africa, and it is well planned out. Why do you think Leopold II got such a massive share? Nobody was watching him and saying, oh, he has too much as they want to teach us. All of that is a part of the plan. The Congo was well raped. Just as the woman of the Congo is raped, that's how Mother Congo is being raped. And it's all about the economy of the wicked. The man just explained the economy of the US, and the military depends on the Congo. So if the Congo had control of its economy, had control of its mineral wealth, it doesn't mean we'd have a military big like them. We always had control of our wealth. All the diamonds and gold they're digging up. They're robbing the earth. They're robbing the earth. So when you talk about economy, 100 years ago, the earth had 50% more wetlands. 100 years ago. The old man, 104. Old man was 104, became 104 like about 6-7 days ago right here in Antigua, in Anu. 104. And I see this, we're going into like the 104th minute as such of this shock of the hour. But at 104 now, I'm just saying when he was 4 years old, from 4 years old to now, his lifespan, and he's still here, the earth has lost 50%, half of its wetlands. Aquifer and these things, half, you know, in 100 years. Remember, the earth has been here for billions of years, or millions of years, pardon me. Let's say millions of years. Well, millions or millions. Well, a long time. Even if we go with the 6,000 years religious concept of the age of the planet, let's work with the 6,000 years. And you mean to tell me in 100 years, you in your industrial age, 100 years, you know, 1914 World War I, that's 100 years or so ago, you know. Yeah. When World War II came to an end, that's about 100 years ago. The industrial age, because all of that was to set the scene. The industrial age. From that time to now, you already sucked half of the wetlands dry. Economy, the economy, the ecosystem, ecology. You cannot separate yourself from nature when you're dealing with building an economy. These killers didn't separate themselves from nature. They're beating and killing nature. Talking about holding ozone layer and 2% and global warming. All of these cheap talk. I don't even get into that conversation. What global warming? Global killing. These wicked killers, man, talking about global warming in 2%. 2%, my foot. Man, when you fly over the Caribbean Sea, the amount of oil that you see leaking out of some of these ships on the sea water, polluting the water. All in the name of building an empire and keeping their empire strong and keeping their foot on your neck. They got to make sure that their foot is on your neck, because your rise is their destruction. So millions upon millions of our brothers and sisters, young little baby, don't we have any feeling for these people? We here grinning and laughing and talking about we going to the movies and popcorn and hot dog. And as I'm speaking to you, young little black little babies, little children are being slaughtered just to get some cassette right and code board to put in some sort of computer that you might end up buying for Christmas from Santa Claus. We don't care nothing about nobody. We just full of talk. That's why sometimes you can't even trouble me in a man. We just full of talk. Waste of time. Waste of time, people. It's an emotional subject because it's real stuff. And we can't even get together and unite properly to say we build an economic kingdom. We're gonna seal up this series with solutions. And we're gonna see who really serious. But anyway. So yeah. So the economy and the military depends on the wealth of the Congo. So it is all a plot and plan to make sure that the people of the Congo and black people in general stay economically handicapped, economically stagnant, economically immobile. All of them words can fit in. You can make a few dollars, you know. That's not economy. That's dollars. That's money in your pocket. See where that is in your pocket, and you feel good. And you feel good on Friday. You get paid and you go and have a few rounds. Real slave mentality. If we would take the same money we put in them few rounds into some real business and building enterprise, nobody on earth could stop us. They would have to kill us. If we could free our mind, man, I sure they'd turn the guns on us wholesale again. Not no piece of thing. And no police beating and you hear it on the news. Real wholesale. Because if we free our mind, we just wake up. The rounds of drink, all that. Listen, if we free our mind, if it's finance will free us, if we free our minds, if 10% of us globally free our minds, all we need is one more paycheck and everything done. Yeah, if 10% of us right now say, yeah, all we need is one more paycheck, and we put that together and we do A, B, and C, redemption is here. But that demands a strong cultural foundation. And listen, we already have it, because we are the originator of culture. So this is why it's easy for us to spark back and revive. It is just the right energy, the right spirit. You see, Marcus Garvey, that's the right spirit. What a man could wake up millions of black people. That's the spirit that will wake us up and bring us in that full unity. Yeah, we call upon the holy irates and those with us seen and unseen to revive that ancient one spirit that could call the people and really unite them in oneness and shake the earth again. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. You know you go, man, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history. So yes, please join us tomorrow evening for part 4 You know, we're getting there. We're taking our time. We're dealing with the economic state of us as a people. You know, I honestly don't think you expected it to go this way. But this is the mystic vibration. This isn't monkey see, monkey do. No offense to nobody, not calling nobody monkey. Just, you know, maybe I should have used a better analogy than that one. But anyway, yeah, I've already used it. So, yeah, next day we'll be going to another level of this, our economic state as a people. And I will still say, yes, of course, you know, the culture, that is the main important, the important ingredients, I should say, in the whole of this, is our culture and who we be as a people, and you know how we are going to fit into this whole structure of the global movement. We're very fragmented, and what I would advise, you know, and I'm going to repeat it, and I think I'm going to try to enforce this a lot, even when I'm not speaking of economy as a subject. I'm going to advise, I'm going to really go on a real push for all groups to unite, not with each other. That seems like, you know, as I said, like a certain, maybe this charismatic leader needs to come in the earth that can bring all people together. When I say people, I'm talking about black people now, straight up. No need no one be offended. I ain't talking about black people. We need to deal with ourselves properly first, before we can even talk about dealing with anyone else. But you see, this is a serious situation here. I'm just saying, because even that get technical. Oh, even that get technical. But this is why I'm saying, you are a member of the Noble Juali Moors. You are a Hebrew Israelite, whether it be the Ben-Ami or the fellas them in the purple, or somebody else here, or someone there. I don't know. If you are a member of this Muslim, once you're black consciousness I deal with it. Once you are, if you're Rastafari, if you're Bobo Shanti, if you're Bobo Shanti in Guadeloupe, or you're in Trinidad, or you're Bobo Shanti in Trinidad, but you're with them Bobo Shanti over there. Listen, whatever group you in, if it's 5 of you, 50 of you, 500 of you, 5,000 of you, we ain't got no excuse. We ain't got no excuse. Let's just stop all the foolishness now. Let us just work within the groups that we have and seek for some real economic growth. Not no little, we pay our dues and how much we have in the kitty, we can fix this, okay, we can get the tire for the truck. Them tire for the truck days are gone, man. The tire for truck. I tell you, we supposed to be manufacturing trucks and manufacturing luxury jets and yachts. That's how we supposed to think, manufacturing them. That's how we should think. And I think if we really internalize within our groups, and I will speak of that more as the time comes, when this comes to an end, but just putting it on the table early. If we internalize more within our groups and get serious about our economic growth, not just because we still thinking as a group, we still think as individuals, you know, like just getting by, you know, and we, you know, we all right, and you know, we good. Man, you got to know the power of thought. We go as far as how we think, and if we can really train ourselves to think beyond the boundary, oh, we'd be a great people, an empire in the earth, you know. So I'm thankful for your presence. I'm advising those who have not subscribed, please subscribe to the Mystic Vibration and get your Mystic Vibration every evening and every morning. I mean, simple things like that. This is only $50 dollars a month. And you see, that's it. Even if it was $15, you see, it's how we value ourselves again. Because some people would say, oh, 50 is a lot. But 50 is a lot. How come 50 come a lot? Since when $50 is a lot of money? You understand? Since when $50 is, so $5,000 is a lot? $5,000 is not a lot of money. $10,000 is not a lot of money. If you have, listen, if you have a house, if you have a car, whether you pay for the house already, and you pay for the car already, and you have children, and you have whatever, and whatever around your yard, and your dog, and your cat, and these little things, you're a member of this group, that group, I mean, $5,000, I mean, that will disappear in a moment. In a moment. So, these numbers are relative. They're not absolute. What is $1 million? These numbers, $1 million may sound like a lot, but depending on what you're thinking about, that's not going to go too far at all. So I'm just saying, for only $50, and I'm very serious, you could subscribe to the Mystic Vibration and get the program every day. Now, I'm not watching no one, but to be honest, I'm telling you straight. This, as our economic understanding, all of what I've been speaking about for these 3 programs, about us patronizing each other. Now, it's obvious that what I'm saying has some value to it. Way more than $50 a month. $50 a month ain't nothing for what I say, you know. I'm telling you straight, $50 a day. $50 a day. If you were giving $50 a day to say this, believe me, that's underpaid. I'm just showing reality. That's how I value these syllables that come out of my mouth. You understand? Straight up. So you need to value yourself the same way. Oh, there's nothing valuable about me. Well, you're right, because you said so. But from you see yourself as valuable, then you see the value that comes out. What's valuable? Gold and diamond? All of that is in you. It's naturally in you. You're made up of the elements of the planet. If that's what you need. You were running with billions of sperm and you beat all of them to hit the egg, and here you are. You are a valuable human being. Yeah. So if you respect me and understand my value and understand that this information is key, $50 a month, I mean, wow. For such, you get the information every single day, coming straight to your inbox, straight to your email. So after this program, I'm going to email this to those who have already subscribed. And what that does, that strengthens us to keep this radio station on the air. Now, if we can't live like that with each other, because me, the one literally that is teaching this information, as I sit and I observe, I don't have to tell no one my business, but as I sit and I observe, because I could tell you how many people are listening now, I could look and see all over the world, where they are, whether it's Botswana, South Africa, all in Japan. Not wrong, you know, I give thanks. But then when it's time to step up to the plate now and say serious thing now, because remember, you know, I'm telling you straight, we are one, we're a family, we're supposed to be working together. And if you're listening and you're listening, unless you are a troll, unless you are some kind of spy, I'm telling you straight, you're supposed to be patronizing this. It's not we're begging, it's not a donation we're asking for, no, it's not donate. Yeah, we have a little sign sometimes, and you know, but you don't know that's not our stuff. We produce and we offer because it's valuable stuff. Straight Straight up, I'm being very straight. I would be a hypocrite to be teaching all what I teaching and not telling you this. So if you're listening this, and you've been listening and listening, and you know, hey, this is some top stuff, and you have not even subscribed to get this information in your inbox, even for your archives, for your own good, you know. Even if you were getting nothing, you should still subscribe. That's how valuable the word is. But for your own library, so you're actually getting back something that's worth more than that. And what you do would assist to keep this on the air. Wow. And we can move towards that. Well, something wrong here. Yeah. So give me a call. WhatsApp. Area code 1268-728-3162. Or email me, Priest Isaac, PRIESTISAAC no, PRIE, let me start over. Priest Isaac, PRIESTISAAC 27 at gmail.com. If you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And it takes some realize to realize the real lies that are amongst us. Give thanks for your presence. Remember, tomorrow evening 6 p.m. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Radio Anu, radioanu.com, international flavor, the universal spice. You don't have to go anywhere though. The mystic is sealed, but you don't have to go anywhere. This is the Mystic Vibrations home base, Radio Anu. So we have a lot of information and a lot of inspiration, a lot of reasoning, a lot of good vibes coming up. So as they say, you keep it locked and keep the locks on your head. Rastafari live. This is Brother Robin Walker. Yeah, we're going to touch upon him in a moment. Yeah, so don't go nowhere. Some Robin Walker coming up. Rastafari.
When we say, at the mystic vibration, you keep that dial lock and don't move it. This is no flower talk.